I get them in the evening too. I get the blues in the morning. How about you? I get the lonely, lonely feeling they call the New London Blues. I get the lonely, lonely feeling they call the New London Blues. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to the Ladies of Lot. We are looking out for taxpayers, citizens for fair and responsible government. With me tonight, I'm Diane Hansen. I'm the Secretary-Treasurer of Lot. With me tonight are my friends, Judy, Kierys, and Karen Paul. And we should have our usual rollicking discussion.
Rollicking?
Rollicking, yes. I have to choose new words every week. Lot wants to welcome you to not just watching our show, but also to our meetings. We meet the second and fourth Wednesday of the month at 7 o'clock at the Senior Center, 120 Broad Street in New London. Everybody is welcome. Dues are $10 a year if you want to join. That would give you privilege to vote on our issues. But we are more than happy to have anybody show up at a meeting. Come in and talk to us. Tell us your ideas. Tell us what you think is right or wrong with Lot or with the City of New London and its governance. Exciting week this week. We had our Christmas party.
Which was very exciting.
It was fun. And
It was.
Highlight.
Well, it's a highlight of my year, and it's just a congenial group of people who are all interested in a lot of the same things. So put it on your calendar for next year, the first Wednesday in December, second Wednesday in December, and anybody can join us. We'll feed you. Great food at the party.
We did have good food, and we had our annual Yankee swap, which was a lot of fun.
Yes, very silly. So thank you to
A lot
all.
of
There was
laughs.
one request, though, about the food,
Oh,
What was that?
that your spread be,
Oh, that my crab meat spread be put on crackers, not leave it in a ball.
Oh.
That you had to, where you had to put it on your own crackers.
well, I was just fine with putting it on my own crackers. I had copious amounts on my own crackers. It was delicious, and I want to thank everybody who attended and everybody who brought food. It was a fabulous spread, and I enjoyed myself, and I'm pretty sure everybody else did too. So that's something for anybody who wants to join Lot. Remember, we're not just about the work, and we're not just about the politics. We're about fun too,
We are.
and we like each other, and that's a good thing. Even when we disagree, we like each other.
At least most of the time, anyway.
Yeah, we get over it. We are planning a fundraiser. We don't know when it's going to be, but we are planning a soup dinner. So we'll have more word on that as the plans formalize. But I think it's a fabulous idea to have a supper with soups and breads, and invite everybody in to buy a ticket, have some soup, socialize, and maybe even take some soup home. So that's in the future.
That's true, because soup weather is coming up.
Soup weather,
Yeah.
soup weather hasn't gotten here yet.
Thank
It's
goodness.
very strange
Yeah.
weather. Yes, so hopefully it'll be a pleasant and not icy night when we choose our fundraiser night.
Yes.
Not much else is coming up on our agenda. We have to wait to see how the council behaves.
elections.
Well, yes, that's true. Lot elections are in February, so everybody be prepared to be asked to be an officer. Anybody at this table could
Not saying a
serve.
word.
Well, all right, so I'll be prepared for people to say no. All right, so the new city council was sworn in on Monday, and the first city council meeting of the new council was on Tuesday, because they partied on Monday after the swearing in.
And it was a really nice party
Yeah.
at the Holiday Inn. Very nice. Again, good food.
Ah. Good week for
And-
good food.
Good. Mm-hmm. And there were an awful lot of people there. I think the paper said there were over 400 people there, something like
Oh,
that.
I don't know.
It was something like that. There were
Nice.
quite a few. I thought it was very nice. It was very nicely done.
Civilized,
Yes.
pleasant, that's always good.
Yeah.
True.
And then it was followed the next day by the shortest council meeting ever. Well, maybe not the shortest
No,
council meeting
yeah,
ever, usually,
yeah.
but
But pretty
a
darn
regular
close to
meeting.
it, yeah.
It went fast.
Now, did
Yeah.
you go to that?
I did not. I was still working.
But you did, Karen.
Yes. And it was a short meeting, but
Did they conduct any business or
not really, you know.
no?
No, there was several things that I thought might have been on the agenda, but I think they kept it kind of low key. I actually have the agenda.
There was
The
not.
one thing that they did do was announce all the appointments for the committee chair.
Oh, do you have that? Did you take
Yeah,
notes?
I have the appointments for the chairs. I didn't write down the other two counselors that are on the committees, you know.
But who are the chairs now of the
Okay.
administrative committee and
For
et cetera?
finance, it would be Erica Richardson. For economic development, it's Don Vendetto. For public safety, it's Ephraim Dominguez. For education and recreation, it's John Sadai. For public welfare, it's Anthony Nolan. For public works, it's Martha Marks. And for administration, it's Mike Tranquita.
Again.
Again,
Okay.
so.
Well, hopefully this year, this term, he'll be more successful at filling vacancies on the boards, agencies, and commissions.
That was one thing that was brought up several times during public comment. Chris from,
Chris Wright
yeah,
from Police
From-
Community Relations.
right. And she and then Dennis and then myself all spoke to the commissions that we're on and that
That need
all
members
need
appointed.
members. And we know that there's plenty of others that need members, so.
Right.
um,
And there are people who have applied for
mhm,
appointment and it hasn't been acted on.
right.
So I hope that that moves forward because it's very hard to run a board or an agency or a commission without sufficient membership. Because
is.
then all the work falls on a few people and it tends to not get done.
Well, it's not only that, but if you don't have a quorum, you can't vote on anything. So you really can't
So you can't
move.
do anything.
you
Now,
know.
why do you think they haven't been filling these vacancies?
You really want me to say that?
I don't know.
Well, unless you're going to get arrested for saying it, go
No,
ahead and say
I
it.
think there was some issues between the three that were on the administration committee before, and some confusion, and they weren't working cohesively,
Oh, okay.
and that happened a lot.
Now, are there
and-
new people on the administration committee?
On the administration committee, I don't remember. The only one I wrote down on was public welfare because
Because they have oversight over the Senior Affairs Commission.
Right. And that's, who is it? Oh, Ephraim. Anthony Nolan is the chair, but Ephraim Dominguez and Martha Marks
Are
are
the members, the
are the
committee
members
members.
of that committee. But I think that there may be more cohesiveness. Whether I agree with it or not, we'll see. But at least between the three of them, I think they'll be able to move it forward and get some appointments made. My concern is we've heard that, not from any of those three, but we've heard from that one or two of the other counselors have made the statement that they're not going to appoint any Republicans. because,
We have heard that.
yeah.
It's
Because,
just silly.
this
has
is an
that got
all
to do?
Democratic council saying they're not going to make any appointments of Republicans to any of the commissions and agencies and boards.
But what has your
Isn't that a
political
little
affiliation to
discriminatory?
do with being
I would
willing
think
to do the
so.
work of the city?
Yeah.
I mean, these are volunteer jobs that people are motivated to do.
Well, and besides the fact, Jeff Lundgren said that really shouldn't even be on the application anymore. It's
Oh,
It's-
what did he say? Why not?
well
When you fill out an
when
application.
your application was
Right.
challenged.
Yes, I filled out my application for the Senior Affairs Commission, and it said political party. And I said to Karen, do I have to fill this in? She said no. So I didn't bother.
Right.
And they held it up
It was
because it was challenged because I did not fill in that I was a Democrat.
Oh,
Yes. And once I did,
no
Yeah.
problem.
no
And
problem.
we had her phone number, and we were able to call her and do it right then and
Right.
there, but
Yeah.
it was held up.
Oh,
And so then Jeff was asked to rule on it,
Mm-hmm.
and he came back and he said no. Because New London doesn't have that, it has to be so many political parties.
right. Minority representation.
Yeah, minority thing.
But I thought some of the commissions do. Don't
you
they?
know,
Someone told me that. I don't know if that's true or not.
That's one of my questions that I have, because I was going to speak on some issues,
Mm-hmm.
but I decided not to speak at the first council meeting. I'd let them kind of get
Get there.
settled in their seats.
Right.
Beware. You got another council meeting coming up. Yeah, that's one of my questions, because like we have the 55 Senior Affairs Commission, our ordinance says you have to be 55 to be appointed a voting commissioner.
Okay. Well, that makes
But
sense.
but there's nothing on the application
Oh, that asks for your age?
that asks for your age, because that's illegal.
Oh.
So,
Can you say, are you
so I
55
agree
or
with you.
older?
Well, there's always ways to get around those things and to make the appointment, But the other thing is, if you're going to be on administration committee, you should know what each of these commissions and agencies, what the ordinance is, what the
Right, what
guidelines
the
for
rules
that
are.
Correct.
ordinance are. And, I was, after the council meeting,
Mm-hmm.
I was speaking with Anthony Nolan, and we have a commissioner that I didn't know at the time he was appointed was not 55.
Mm-hmm.
He's a disabled person. And so now it's been, afterwards I learned that. And there's some issues because the federal law is putting the disabled and the younger disabled and a whole variety of people into federal housing,
Right.
and you can't discriminate them against the disabled. So I'm not, and there's, the big push in the state for the disabled and the seniors being kind of blocked together.
Right.
So I'm not going to make any waves about disabled on the Senior Affairs Commission, as long as they're permanently disabled and,
Mm-hmm.
But I understand that that's going to be one of the issues that he wants to raise,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine. I'm just a little bit leery about it because of the state and federal government. So I don't know whether that's going to go anyplace or not. But
Sorry.
at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
know what the rules are, know what the ordinances says.
That was one of the things that we talked about before the election, that, you're running for office, this is a job. Once you get it, you really need to become very much aware of what the ordinances are, what the charter says, and so forth and so on. That's your job, and you've applied for this job, now you got it, now follow through.
Well, And technically, and Diane knows this, I think we've discussed it before, like every new counselor, every new Board of Ed person is supposed to read the Code of Ethics, understand it, and sign off that they understand it, that they've read it, and it's supposed to be in the clerk's office. So I can tell you right now, that's one of the things I'm going to speak to at council, and I'm going to say, you know, after the first of the year, I'm going into the clerk's office and I want to see that they've all read it and signed off on it. And furthermore, every employee of the city is supposed to read that Code of Ethics, and their signatures that they've read it are held in the personnel department.
Yes.
So
But that
Yeah.
hasn't happened.
that has
correct?
not happened. Actually, I've spoken to a couple of counselors, former counselors, that never read it or saw it or signed up on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, as a former employee, I did read the Code of Ethics, and my signature is on file somewhere
Yeah.
that I bound myself to following it.
Yeah.
But that was many, many years ago.
Yeah.
Now, were you instructed to do that?
Yes, we were required to do
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
It was
All
a
right.
requirement.
Yeah,
Of
but I
So
think
what
employment.
it's
happened to the
fallen-
requirements?
It's fallen by the
since then?
wayside.
Well, then there came into, I mean, when I was hired, there were decent people in the personnel department, people who had been there for a long time. There was new management in the personnel department at the time, but the staff had been there for a long time, and they knew the rules and the ropes. So they knew how to bring a new employee in. And, you know, there were a lot of policies and practices that you had to familiarize yourself with before you were hired. You know, before it became official, you had to have your name on all these pieces of paper. So, and then there was Bernadette Welch, who was poison, as my opinion, but, you know, it was, she brought in an attitude of, you know, that doesn't matter and I'm not going to do it. And I think maybe that's when things started to fall by the wayside, where, you know, maybe she decided that you couldn't make people do that. But the charter says, you know, I mean, when you are working in a municipality that has a charter, the charter rules. It overrules a lot of state law. So again, you have people working who are not familiar with the city charter,
Right.
and who are not homegrown, you know, didn't come up through the ranks and don't know how to honor the requirements of the charter and the history of the city. A lot gets lost.
And evidently you have no one in supervisory positions that are
That either-
enforcing this or
that
know
either
it
know or
themselves.
care.
Right.
Yep, sure. I mean, you had this era of one city manager after the other, city manager after the other, and they were all interim, and none of them were permanent, and they didn't live here, and they didn't know the background. You know, and the finance director, you had the same thing. I think they had like five finance directors in 7 years. Going back to, you know, we're going to have, in my opinion, an excellent interim finance director. Don Gray was the finance director when I worked for the city. He knows it inside and out. He is a fine administrator and a very talented finance director, and I think the city is well served by this appointment.
So does that mean that Jeff is leaving at the end of the month?
Well, he had announced that he was leaving the 1st of December.
Oh, the 1st of December.
So I don't know anything. I have heard nothing. I have heard no rumors nor facts from the finance department. I don't know what the transition is going to look like, but it is definitely going to happen. There's going to be a transition, and Jeff Smith is leaving.
Well, I personally think that's wonderful.
I personally think it's no loss for Jeff to leave, and I think that the mayor-elect now the mayor has chosen an excellent transition team. You know.
I'm so excited about his secretary.
Oh, and Mrs. McKissick, Gail McKissick, was the secretary for the city manager from 1978 until Mayor Finizio was elected.
Yeah.
And she's back at least interim as the secretary for the mayor. Excellent appointment. She is a loyal, ethical, confidant. She can. You will not get confidential information out of that woman. She's amazing, and I'm an admirer. So
That's great.
I really appreciate Mayor Passero's appointment. I hope that she can be convinced to stay on after, she's been retired for 4 years. Maybe she's bored. We can hope.
Yeah.
But it's for however long she's there, it's a very, very wise appointment, in my opinion. And I think she's going to do a great job for the mayor and the city, as she always did.
He was super, because he was on Seniors on the Go Tuesday before the council meeting, and that's when he told us. And so excited about that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, really.
And she knows, this is a person who knows the ins and outs of the office, the ins and outs of, she has an amazing corporate memory of what happened from 1978 on. She knows where the papers are stored. She knows, she could probably cite chapter and verse what happened at a meeting. Just an amazing
So it
asset.
just makes you wonder then if this woman is so competent, and why did the former mayor get rid of her and put somebody else in?
Well, hubris. I know better than anybody else, or I don't want this person around. And the startling thing about it is that she was loyal to anyone she worked for. She was, no matter which city manager it was, she was completely loyal to that city manager. And she would have been completely loyal to Mayor Finizio.
Right.
It was just a shame. But I hope that she enjoyed her 4 years off. And, I'm sure she had been there long enough to get a pension, so that was a good thing. Hopefully the earnings that she gets now will increase her pension. I certainly have no objection to people working to get a larger pension benefit. So
Sure.
I don't know how that works, but, welcome back.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Now if he'd bring back Clark and...
Well, I'm not sure Clark wants to come back.
But he was there, Monday night.
Was he? I didn't see him.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There were so many people.
I know. I know.
So, it's hard to believe Clark Vanderlake getting lost in a crowd, but I guess it's possible. He has gotten a little quieter.
Yeah.
So, maybe there will be new appointments in the city clerk's office. I don't know how the city clerk is performing. I have no idea. I know I've not had the most pleasant interactions with him, but I have gotten my work done in the city clerk's office, and I suppose at the end of the day that's all that matters, is that you got what you came for.
Yeah.
Whether it was a confrontation or not. So I don't know, we'll see about that. I'm most interested in who's going to be hired for Public Works, because snow's coming, the winter's coming, and that's and not only is it plowing, but it's planning for the road work for the next season.
Of course.
And it's really, really important to have somebody there who's going to see it through.
Now there's an interim person there also, isn't there?
There's an interim in Public Works. Yeah.
Right.
And I don't have any, I have no knowledge of this person's background or knowledge or capabilities. So we'll hope for the best.
What about the CAO? Do you know anything about him?
Who did he appoint as the CAO?
Lieutenant Colonel somebody or other?
No.
Okay.
No, that's again,
Because when I read that in the paper, it was like, well, who is this? I never heard of him before. Where did he come from?
Yeah.
Well, it would seem that Mayor Passero has been putting together the transition team for quite a while. And we have to trust in his judgment now. He was elected.
That's true.
And I have the feeling that if it's not working out, the person won't stay. I have the feeling that personal loyalties or embarrassment over having vetted the wrong person or hired the wrong person is not going to stop Mayor Passero from correcting it. So we'll see, but it remains to be seen. We'll see how it works out. Hopefully, there's going to be, what the charter envisions is the mayor will be the figurehead, the face, the person you come to, and the CAO will take care of the management of the city. The CAO will interact with the department heads and be the person who says yay or nay to their ideas and understands how things are going and how the budget's moving. And Mayor Passero will be our cheerleader and our voice in Hartford and the visionary.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yeah,
for a change.
And that was the change that was supposed to happen 4 years ago. And then it seemed like Mayor Finizio got bogged down in appointing friends and not competent people. And not, apparently not. And then ending up having to run the city and be the department head's department head. And then maybe he liked it, or maybe I always feel, and I'm not management, so I'm not a big fan of management always, but I always feel that managers who decide that they're going to dig in the dirt and run things, get their hands dirty and it's an excuse for not doing what their job is. I'm too busy to do my job because I'm doing this job. I'm too busy to be the mayor because I'm the CAO.
Because I'm painting fire hydrants.
Or I'm painting fire hydrants, but he did that on vacation time.
Yeah.
Or so he says. But to me, it was just an excuse not to do the job that he was supposed to do, which was to lobby in Hartford and solicit businesses, glad hand people. Hey, I'm the mayor of New London. We have a great city. And his job was not to complain about what a crap city it is, which he did many times.
True.
So, when I was listening to people talk about the budget, there was so much public comment, wasn't there, Karen? It was amazing. So many people came to talk to the council about the budget last budget season. And the one thing that I heard from people making public comment, I love New London. I love New London, and this is what I envision. I love New London, and we can't afford. It wasn't I love New London, but it was I love New London, and we can't afford more taxes this year. It was heartening. It was amazing, because I love New London too. We have a call.
We do. Good evening. You're on with the ladies of a lot.
Hi. I have a comment. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Let me turn my TV down. In listening to the comments tonight, I have to say that when Finizio ran, I voted for Finizio because I thought he would be a welcome change to the climate in New London. But then I found out that he wasn't. But in looking back on it overall, I think that we should blame ourselves and not Finizio for what happened. Because we thought, and I'm speaking in general for the community, that he was going to be our savior.
Yes.
And he wasn't. He didn't know our community. And he came in here, and we thought that he could change things. But things were so infested that he couldn't. And I think he did the best he could under the circumstances that he was under. And I also feel that he isn't responsible for a lot of what I feel that I blame him for. He was just the scapegoat for what happened. And we all should feel that he did what he could do with what he knew to do. and he was guided wrong, and we can't blame him for the guidance that he was given. We have to look back on ourselves and take some of the responsibility for what happened. Have a good evening, ladies.
Well, thank you for
Thank
the
you.
call.
Caller.
And it always comes down to that. People voted for him.
People did vote for him, but as I recall, didn't he have some sort of a 40-page vision for the city that he was promoting before he got elected, that once he was elected, he never followed through on? I think the caller is correct that we did think he was, many of us thought he was going to be the savior. He had the credentials, he had the charisma, and thought he was going to be the savior. Many of us, some of us, a few of us, enough to get him elected anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
A large majority.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Got bamboozled.
I think the majority of the people in New London were looking for some sort of a change. And
Yes.
they felt that, you know, he could handle it. I think he made a lot of mistakes by not surrounding him with people who could help him govern the city. I think there are many things that we can really blame him for if we wanted to bother. So,
Well, are we farther ahead than we were 4 years ago? Maybe we are. A couple of good things are happening, and we can't say he didn't do anything. You know, the Coast Guard Museum is coming to fruition, but that was in the works before
Right.
he took office.
and he took credit for that too.
Well, that's true, but you know, that's politics.
Yeah,
But the Coast Guard Museum isn't here yet, so.
no.
Well, we'll see, and we'll see how Mayor Passero does.
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
true.
He came in with a
Absolutely.
20-page booklet on things that we're going to do.
Right.
And we'll see. Does that work? Is it going to happen? One of my first objections to Mayor Finizio was the CAO appointment.
Definitely.
So,
Not just the CAO appointment, other appointments as well. You know, putting in friends and people who had helped him get elected rather than people who were competent.
So I had an objection to that, but in particular the CAO, because the charter specifically spells out the qualifications that that person is supposed to have. And while Jane Glover has many good qualifications, CAO, the described qualifications from the charter didn't match her skill set. So, and I don't know if they were friends. I don't know if she worked on his campaign. I just thought it was a poor choice, an unfortunate
Right.
poor choice. And I don't like when people are put in a position where they're destined to fail. I think that's just mean. So
He did a lot of that.
he
He did. He did a lot of that, and then he used taxpayer money to hire consultants to teach people these jobs.
And he used taxpayer money to pay the people he was letting go that were qualified for the position to
Right.
give them these big benefit packages. And,
well, rather than letting them sue and having an even larger settlement.
oh yeah, we're going to talk about it.
But why get
That's
rid
one
of
of the
them?
one of the things
Well-
that has gone up in the last 4 years.
Taxes,
No. The,
Lawsuits.
lawsuits,
Many.
And the, what do you call it that the city
The
has to
deductible?
pay? Deductibles.
yeah. So, hopefully, all those things will be addressed. But there's no magic bullet, and there's
No, there isn't.
elected Superman. And,
Correct.
you know, the cult of personality can sometimes be enticing. And so, you know, I guess we can just leave Mayor Finizio in the past and hope
I
that
think
Mayor
so.
Passero does what he promised to do or what he plans to do. And hopefully people will give him some time, a little bit of a honeymoon, to start the ball rolling and start things moving forward. And I think he's made some really good steps. So
I think you're right.
however, the caller is right. There is an entrenched bureaucracy. There is an entrenched political undercurrent where you may want to do something and you may have every good reason to do it, and you may have the correct people in place to move it forward, and it will get stopped by the powers in the back room, because New London is still a small town. It's a city with all the problems and all the joys of a city, but it's still a small town where everybody kind of knows everybody, and you can have unfortunate consequences from that. I grew up in a small town where the sheriff's sister was the mayor's wife, was the undersheriff's cousin, and it was incestuous. And you could, nobody could make change unless you were a relative. So, and they didn't want to make change. We at least have a mayor who wants things to change in a positive way. So, and I can't say that Mayor Finizio didn't want that too, but I think he got mired in a lot of stuff. So let's hope that Mayor Passero stays above ground.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
And I hope that he's able to move forward on a lot of, he has a lot of good ideas. And he's a New London lover.
He does have a lot of good ideas, and he also seems like he has surrounded himself with people who can help him move his ideas forward. People that do know New London and have been here for a long time, a while or whatever, and really know the city, and hopefully we won't have to keep saying, New London has so much potential.
Oh, Lord, I hate that
Judy
word.
loves that phrase.
I just love that phrase. I mean, yeah, it has so much potential. Well, let's start seeing it come to fruition,
Yeah.
I hate that word. I hope nobody ever uses it again.
What, potential?
I ride the ferry, and I look at Groton, and it's so ugly, and I look at New London, and it's so pretty when you're coming up the river. So pretty. What a beautiful city. So many good things about it. I eat at the restaurants downtown.
But don't say the P word.
and I think, no, I say pretty. I'm not
Well,
going to say
that
potential.
one's okay.
I hope that the Maritime Society comes to some conclusion with the neighbors of the lighthouse so that can give tours. I hope that our mayor helps that process move into a good space for everybody concerned. I hope that Mitchell College is able to bring its dreams of renovations together, and I hope that the mayor helps them to do whatever it takes. I hope that the Lighthouse Inn reopens, and I hope that the mayor
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
gets on a bully pulpit to help the developer get financing and get buy-in from the neighbors for whatever project it is. I hope that the mayor is out there in the community smoothing that process forward, for not getting into the nitty-gritty of how many firefighters are working today, but really, really moving forward with the visions, helping the developers, helping people to see how beautiful New London is, what a great place it is, how diverse it is, that you'd want to raise your family here because you want your kids to know kids who are other races, other colors, other styles. There's so many great things about this city that we should beat the drum to say it's a great place to come.
Definitely.
And the houses are really cheap right now. So some really great houses.
Yes, they are.
really, really cheap right now. So, what you save in your mortgage, you'll make up with taxes, but you'll also be living in a great place with schools that are on the upswing. Hopefully the Magnet School District is going to make a huge difference. I don't know. I don't think we see it yet, but everything starts somewhere.
It does.
And it very frequently takes longer than you thought and more money than you thought to bring it to the finish. But I think some good steps have been taken in the last 4 years. So in the last 8 years, in the last 12 years, some good steps have been taken. Things have been started. But also, things that were started got stopped. Like Fort Trumbull. That was a horrible situation. Now, something good needs to happen there.
That never really got started.
Right. Well, it got started in a really bad way.
Well,
really.
yes.
Some really bad things got started. And I think it's okay because there's a period of grief, There's a period of grief that you have to go through when such an awful thing happens in your town.
I think that's probably true, but now we're working on 12 years almost?
More
than 12 years.
It started in
So I
99.
think that's certainly, the grieving period is over.
And now it's time to move forward.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know there are people who curse the ground and hope nothing is ever built there because they're in pain from, what happened there. But
Well, it was a horrible thing that happened.
it was wrong, 100% wrong.
Yep.
But there it is, an open tract of land, and someone needs to want it, buy it, build on it, and bring taxes in.
Something beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh my goodness, yes. God forbid that they build a brick prison structure like the drawings that I saw from the latest preferred developer. Look, we've built this brick prison-looking structure in 10 other towns. No, I don't think so. On the waterfront. Mm-hmm. That would disturb my ferry ride. So, yeah, something beautiful, but something helpful, something useful, something that brings tax dollars in.
Definitely.
And I see it as a positive step that the parking commission or what are they now?
Parking authority?
Authority?
Yeah.
I hope for all the people who are on all the side streets and all the main streets around EB that this parking authority and their plan to give resident parking and ticket or tow the people who park in residence spots. I hope it works. I think it has the potential to work. I think it has the potential to help the residents because, man, how depressing it is to get home and not be able to park your car and go in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And not everybody leaves the house in the day and then doesn't come home for 12 hours. So, it'd be nice.
Right.
It'd be nice if we could get to a place where they're a better neighbor and the residents can park at home.
Yeah, Mike was talking about when he was on our show Tuesday, talking about some kind of a parking structure at Fort Trumbull. Mm-hmm. That would either be financed or co-financed or something with EB. EB would use it like during the day, but it could be multi-use. So there's something that people could park there when they're going downtown to the restaurants and things. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there's parking.
So another
downtown.
parking garage type thing?
Well, he said he was talking about parking garages and how really expensive it is to actually build a parking garage. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about a lot of things. He was talking about at one point there was apparently an idea to the lot behind Jason's there on Governor Winthrop to make that a parking garage. Well, that makes more sense to me.
Right.
Yeah, because they sure need parking downtown.
Yeah.
So, and if they had to tear
There
down...
is no parking. You're right. The parking downtown is terrible. And if you happen to park, over 2 hours, or,
Right.
I mean, you get a $25 ticket, even if
Well, now
there's
they're
no one
talking-
else in the lot,
They're
you know?
talking
Right.
about, those kiosks or whatever
But I
that
think-
Larry's talking about, where you would get 2 hours free park. You have to register with a card or something, or I don't know. You register with a card when you park your car.
You get 2 hours free,
And
and
you
then
get
it
2
starts
hours
charging
free
you.
at that parking spot. But then if you stay an extra half hour, it's only going to be, a couple of dollars.
And wouldn't that be better than a $25 ticket?
Yeah,
Totally.
and what was the other thing he was talking about? I'll have to watch the tape. But, well, because we talked about a lot of things. We talked about the community center. We talked about the pedestrian advisory committee. And we talked about the parking authority, and there was a lot of information that he shared with us.
Well, for the time being, my suggestion would be there's a giant expanse of land on Howard Street where many, many houses were torn down at the same time that the houses in Fort Trumbull were torn down. And I don't see why they couldn't just make that a surface lot to help the EB workers. And certainly we want the workers from EB to come into New London. They work there, they're welcome.
Yeah.
They just need to be a little bit better neighbors.
Yeah.
Isn't there some sort of a shuttle, though, from the parking garage
There is.
There is.
that
park
they
in-
don't take advantage of?
You can park in the Water Street garage. I don't know if, because I think you have to pay for that.
EB
And-
pays for it, I believe.
Well, okay, then that's silly not to take advantage of it. But you know how people are in love with their cars? Like, I don't want to have to wait for a shuttle. I want to go right now when I want to go.
True.
And
But then if you have to park 6 blocks away in a residential area,
it's still better than waiting for the shuttle
Yeah, I
and
guess.
having to go into the parking garage and circle around and then circle back around with your car and go out. And I see the charm of parking
And-
on the street.
Well, that was one of the things we brought up with Mike too, was that you got all these new people coming into EB. What's EB up? Just hired 3,500 more or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
But if you're shuttling them to the parking garage, or you're shuttling them over to Groton, or I understand now there's actually some being shuttled from Norwich, they're not spending money downtown, so who cares whether they're putting another 500 people in, or,
Right.
if
True.
you're taking them out of town.
Right. If you go directly from work to the parking garage and then out of town. Yeah. It's not helping.
And they
No.
do, because I leave my house to go to my job at 2:30, and I'm driving, and the traffic is unbelievable from about 2:30 until, well, when I leave there at 4:30 and I'm coming back, it's the same thing, all going out of town. I mean, I was behind the other day, somebody from Massachusetts, somebody from Rhode Island, I mean, and they're all going out of town.
Yeah.
Not stopping
Well,
for dinner
some
or
of-
anything.
Some of them must. Some of them must. I'm going to give them credit. And maybe they eat
Maybe,
lunch.
but the
down
Maybe we should
majority
get
of them don't.
Somebody to go out
And that's why they're parking on the street, so they can
Make
get
a
out
quick
quickly.
escape. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully the resident parking program is going to make a difference for the people who live and pay taxes in New London. And I think it's a great idea. And hopefully parking will be on the agenda, and things will get worked through. Pave the roads, there are some roads that haven't been paved in 40 years. Find them, pave them. That would be my priority for the coming year. We have less than a minute. Please join us at our meetings the second and fourth Wednesday of the month at the Senior Center, 120 Broad Street, 7 p.m.
Not this month.
Well, not this coming Wednesday, fourth Wednesday, because it's the day before Christmas Eve. But catch us in the new year. Watch for news about our soup supper, and join us again next Friday for another sterling issue of Lot.
And have a wonderful Christmas. Happy Hanukkah.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
Yeah. Happy New Year.